everybody. My name is Lubo. Some of you might know me. I'm the CEO and founder of MClimate, and I bring you some pretty awesome news. And there again about Vicki. There is a new firmware version available for Vicki, a version that we worked, pretty long for, and we're pretty excited about it. I just want to let you know the biggest new updates that we have. Before that, just for your information, Vicki, since firmware 4.0, it supports firmware upgrade over the air, meaning that you don't have to, return devices to us to update them, but instead you can do this over the air. We're pretty proud of this function as well. But many devices already have been updated, with since we first launched the Flota. Yeah, yet another chance to use it. So I guess if you're watching this video, you know what Vicki is. It's a radiator thermostat, a LoRaWAN one. So it has a pretty long battery life, and it's suitable for smart building projects where you want to deploy an entire building and connect the old heating to retrofit it with new thermostats. But let's dive into the release notes. So as I said, first, if you're running firmware 4.0 or higher, click here to learn how to update. It's very easy and takes, depending on the spreading factor, it takes between, I would say, 4 hours to, let's say, 2 days, depending on the spreading factor. But some pretty nice updates that we've done in 4.3. So we, further improved the calibration mechanism in 4.2 and prior. You can hear more of a mechanical sound when the valve was calibrating, and now this is resolved. So during calibration, it's as quickly as possible, but still, closing the valve. When we're doing the calibration and then later close the valve, we apply a pretty big force. So here we have also improved on this. But the force that we apply on the pin on the radiator valve, we try to make it better also for very old valves, which are not really recommended to be, retrofitted with Vicki, because if the valve is faulty, then how can the thermostat itself control the valve? Yeah, so we have further improvements on the calibration. Second, the temperature measurements can now reach -5 degrees, and previously it was 1 degree. Third, we have introduced an anti-freeze functionality, and the anti-freeze functionality is on all the time. And what happens with it is that whenever the temperature drops below a certain value, by default this is 6 degrees, we set the target temperature to, I think, 7 degrees. And even if you're in manual mode, so the algorithm inside Vicki is disabled and it's not controlling the temperature, but you are from the application server, still the anti-freeze functionality it's important and it's active all the time. So when the temperature drops below 6, then target temperature becomes 7, and then when the measured temperature in the room exceeds 9 degrees, then we go back to whatever mode you have decided before that. Another nice thing is that each time the device is powered, it briefly rotates the motor so that it can verify the fully open position. So you would expect if like the motor shaft is slightly out of the Vicki, to when you restart the Vicki and you see high, it will go all the way back down. Another one is a set and get command for the anti-wind-up value of the integral, of the proportional integral algorithm. I'm not gonna get into details about that. This was a request from some of our customers, so we essentially allowed not a default value, not just one fixed value of the anti-wind-up, but rather for you to be able to set what value you want. Then something that people have been waiting for a long time. We have a command to set the valve openness in percentages, and this works only in manual mode when the Vicki algorithm is disabled. But that's nice. A lot of system integrators have been requesting this, so we finally have it. And another thing that we did is we upgraded the uplink decoder first, so it can decode all the new functions. But also for the older devices, now you're going to be able to see the valve openness in percentages. And I think this is something that we should have done a long time ago, but I think it's going to make the process easier for you. So instead of looking at the model range and model position and calculating what is the percentage there, instead of doing this, you in the decoded keep alive information, you're going to receive a property named valve openness. And it's from 0 to 100%, and it's just a whole number. Then we have something that is important for hydronic balancing, but also for comfort. So we put the min and max values of valve openness. So for example, in the case of defining the maximum valve openness, you can imagine that in hydronic balancing, some of the, let's say, apartments or radiators on the first floor, they're getting too much flow. So here you can say, okay, open the valve maximum to 60%, and you can let Vicki control the, the temperature with the automatic control, but you can still say, okay, open it maximum to 50%, 60%, whatever you desire. And we also introduce this for the minimum. So if Vicki opens the valve, what is the minimum amount of open that it should do? So it can be, let's say, 10%, 20%, it's up to you. It's more a feature about comfort, but it's quite nice to have it there. Then something that is important during installations is that after the device joins the network, it's gonna send the first uplinks as soon as possible, meaning that you will receive, the latest values as soon as possible. If you're an installer, you just install the Vicki on the radiator. We're just shortening the amount of time until you see on the application if everything is okay. Now, one of the things that I'm very excited about is a new set command for the target temperature with accuracy 0.1 degrees, meaning that now you can set target temperature instead 22, you can do it 22.2, 22.3, whatever you desire. And this temperature is also communicated with each keep alive. We call it target temperature float. So in your systems, you can update and you can show, instead of target temperature, you can show target temperature float, the new property. But it's important to say that, the display of Vicki, it has only two digits. So if somebody rotates the device, so let's say you have put it on 24.3, if somebody rotates the device and sets it to 25, then Vicki is going to send and control based on 25 instead of 24, instead of the old temperature, which is with accuracy 0.1. Also important is that we decided to discontinue the proportional control algorithm and just have only one algorithm right now on the Vicki, as it delivers way better results, but it's the proportional integral, the one that we introduced a few firmware versions ago, but we see that it's a very good combination between maintaining the temperature in the room, plus or minus 0.2, let's say, degrees. But in the meantime, it also is for us so far the best way to minimize the amount of, or not minimize, but rather to optimize the amount of motor movements, because this affects battery life of Vicki. So right now we used to have actually algorithm 1, the equal directional control, the proportional control, and now we have the proportional integral. And now with 4.3, this is the only algorithm that is available, but it also is the best performing one. Something else that is also very important is that we have set and get commands for temperature offset on the measured temperature. So you can say plus or minus up to 5 degrees on the measured temperature. So this is going to affect what temperature is the algorithm using to control the valve. And I think it has two applications. So the first one is saying, I want to say that Vicki, I don't like the temperature of Vicki that she reports, but instead I want to, add an offset of, let's say, -1 degree. So that's one case. And a brief comment on this case, the temperature sensor of Vicki, it's very, very accurate. It's being used in the automotive as well. It has good accuracy, good response time. The thing is, it's actually the temperature right there is as the temperature as the Vicki reports, and you know when you have a heater inside a room, it heats up the air, so the hot air goes up and the cold air rushes from below, and then heats up and goes up. So a radiator is actually a pretty good position to measure the temperature in the room. But that's a big topic. I don't want to get into too much details. A room has many different temperatures. A room is never just one single temperature. It has a gradient. And more about that, you can actually um, read about this in this article that we have here in the others section. If there's something in front of the radiator and the flow is obstructed, then of course, temperature might be slightly different. But I always give this example: a room that is about 3 meters high, it can have a temperature difference of up to 3 degrees or even more from the top of the bottom where the hot air is and the bottom of the room, the floor where the cold air sits. So it really depends when you're measuring temperature also, at what height are you measuring? And we recommend 1.5 meters, so 1 meter and a half, because it's a good, comfortable place where people are actually, moving, living. Um, but this combined also with the fact that now you can set a more accurate target temperature Vicki. We hope that it's gonna allow people to kind of achieve more comfort in their projects. The offset command can also have another application, and it's to actually have a different target temperature, but make this hidden from the customer. So I'm not going to go into details what types of buildings want this, but we have seen examples where people want to show on the display that it's 25-degree target temperature, but actually the room is heating up to, let's say, 23. So in this case, it's 2 degrees of positive difference, but you can apply an offset to the measured temperature of a positive 2 degrees, and then it's going to show 25, but actually it's going to try to maintain 23 inside the room. Last but not least, now when the Vicki is removed from the backplate, so if somebody removes the Vicki from the radiator, by the backplate as it's the correct way, then it's going to send an immediate uplink. And we've done some bug fixes, obviously, on the things that we have found in 4.2. Not gonna go into a lot of details, but all of those things are fixed in 4.3. And as you can see, we're not, launching a new firmware every month. But on the topic of firmware upgrades, I suggest you read this article here, Firmware Upgrade Over the Air. We explain how this works, and it has multiple benefits. I feel so comfortable supporting our partners now that we have this, because if there is an additional request, for a new feature, or we see some issue with the device in a specific, corner case, edge case, then we're able to deploy the photo, do the firmware upgrade, and it is foolproof. So meaning that it will not break the device, it will not do anything that cannot be fixed really, and very important that it also does not affect the battery life of the device significantly. Some common misconceptions. But with that, I just want to say quickly thank you to all the partners that are supporting us. It really means a lot when you're sending us feedback, when you're looking after our opinion, and you ask us for some tips. But really big thanks to all the companies that are supporting us. I hope this new firmware version that we worked really hard for is going to make you happy, and is going to allow you to um, just support your customers on the decarbonization journey of their properties. other buildings. And yeah, I think that's it. If you have any questions, feel free to ask us. But again, a big thank you. Bye bye.